In 1985, as the miners' strike was just coming to an end, Peckham, South London wasn't the creative hub that it is today. Its main foray into national consciousness was via Del Boy's home in Only Fools and Horses. Taking advantage of the cheap prices, driven by the relative obscurity of the area, a framer's Brown & Co. acquired a shopfront on the border between East Dulwich and Peckham. 40 years on, I sat down with Zoe, daughter of the original founder, to find out how the business came about and what it's like running a framer's, because I'm interested and I have a YouTube series called Personal Business. What's your relationship like with your customers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask them probably. Like, we spend a lot of time with people. You have to chat. Some consultations last, half an hour. Like, so you get to know someone. Like I say before, like you're handling something very precious to someone, we've got some really valuable things, for instance, but also, someone's child's footprint, you know what I mean? Like, you've got something like that, that's quite precious to someone, right? Like you've got some things that people prefer probably not even to share. This is this is a really interesting thing to do with the Olympics. So, you get to know, as we do hear stories, it's very story laden, you know what I mean? You are listening to people's lives, stories, whatever, because they're attached to the personal thing that they want to preserve enough that they're going to have it framed. So it does sound really simple. It's just framing. But actually, we all say it's quite precious because you're dealing with people's preciousness. So it does add a layer of tension, like, to the process. But it also is, it's beautiful because you do get to know people quite well. And if you've got customers that come back and back, you see, you get to know a lot about their lives, actually. I was teaching, but when my stepfather died and my mum needed help, I just had a daughter. She's 17 now. So it made sense. I lived locally and I just stepped in to help, and I've been here ever since. Like, my mum's got 3 children, 3 girls, and we all helped in the summer holidays, like from when we were super young, like 15 probably. So yes, so it wasn't such a stretch. Like, it was easy to slip in. Like, we've all helped out. Like, we all know what to do. We watched my mum work super hard all her life, pretty much.
You've obviously seen the area change so much. You've lived here all your life. Well, what do you think special about working in Peckham?
Well, people move here, this area, to stay, right? So people come, there's a lot of schools. So people are living here to be here, settle here for a bit. So shops or businesses like ours benefit from that, because people are, they'll invest a little bit in their house or whatever. That's how we sit in here, I suppose. And it has changed, but we've always been busy. I don't think that. I mean, it has become a lot more, I suppose everyone says gentrified, whatever. It used to, it was very different in the 80s. Basically, housing was just cheaper. My mum bought this shop, so we're lucky. So we don't pay rent. I don't know how we'd afford it if we didn't have that. So there are lots of things. We benefit, obviously, from the influx of people who want to invest in their homes. Yeah. So we're really grateful for that. And we're lucky because we've been here a long time that we're able to survive because we don't pay rent. Yeah. Like, I can tell you, maybe not everything, but like I can probably walk you through all the different time, where different things came in certain periods of time. There's a frame up there, that frame up there we kept because it's a really good example of gold straight onto wood. So normally if you gild something, you put layers and layers and layers of gold, of finishing, and then you put the gold on so you don't see the wood. And that was that they did that mid-century. Nobody does that anymore. So we kept that as an example. We might try and do it, Yeah. That's called bird's eye maple. They don't really make that anymore. This one's interesting because this is quite a traditional frame. Very probably use it rarely these days because it's quite traditional. You probably saw it in the 80s or whatever. But you see the little holes, these are called wormholes. And that is a fake wormhole, obviously. But there's a story about in America in maybe the 18th century, maybe a bit earlier, I don't remember the exact dates, but there was some wood kept for making furniture and frames, and it got attacked by something that ate the frames, made wormholes, and they couldn't destroy it because that's all they had. So they used it, and then then it became part of the framing language. So now people make the holes in the wood to copy that time, like, you know, maybe 18th century, where the wood got destroyed by some worms in America.
That's so interesting.
I know, I find it interesting.
What about the Baroque? What, like the slightly more
like this one?
Yeah.
So that's quite Italian, isn't it, or something like, yeah, detailed, like crazy. They call that the supplier we get this from calls it pasta. This is lovely. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. This is quite hard to find now. That's called barrel and bead, or peas and sausage.
And will that be made in like a cast?
Yeah, this would have, I mean, if you were really like fancy framing, would have been carved wood, obviously. Like, we're like not carving wood, and domestic framing, you know, like this is just a copy. It's copies of the fancy frames. But this would have been made in a mould, pressed like a material compound mixed together, like a putty. It's called compo, and then we pressed into the mould, like this sort of things, pressed into the mould, and then rolled out like pasta. This is one. This is really good. This is bamboo. This was Chippendale. The furniture maker was really interested in, I suppose, like stuff from the Orient, or whatever they called it then, and he developed this style. So, you know, that's the same frame, manufactured the same. I mean, it would have been carved then, but it's the same. Hundreds of years. They make a lot of these frames have been made the same, hundreds of years. What is missing, lacking, is new technology. That's what. That's why we like the idea of the other shop, and that's what we'll be. That's, if we ever get the opportunity, we would really love to explore some of the more new technology, because nobody's using that. Like, there's so much new technology that would be great in this sort of business. We have started doing sort of shaped frames with MDF, like carved MDF. Printing, flatbed printers, you could probably, you know, potentially you could print onto wood, or at least onto bits of wood that you could then like incorporate into frames. There's like there potentially avenues of technology that could be explored, but it's not a business that has a lot of like capital. You know what I mean? It's right. You know, it's not that kind of business. So that sort of investment's really tricky, because, you know, there's not the.
And is that what you found when you were getting the other store? You had to do it yourself because it was hard to find the capital.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able. You wouldn't afford it. You know what I mean? We're just giving it a go, really. Just you know, we just had a spot came up, and we're just trying it, and it's very successful. And we want to, you know, be able to push it alongside what we do. And I think that business could you can't really expand this sort of thing. Like, the more, you know, we can just about manage this. But maybe something simpler, quicker, cheaper, potentially, like more affordable. Maybe fills a gap in the market for, you know, people want something that's not IKEA or online, because that's the thing. Buy something online, you've got to fit it yourself. And the value we add to that kind of service is our skill at fitting things. You know what I mean? We're adding value to things, really. You know, that's what we do. We add value to people's artworks. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. That was amazing.
That's all right.
Now we are properly done again.
Okay, amazing. All right.